Keisha Williams stared at the divorce papers on the kitchen table, her hands shaking. After 5 years of marriage, it was ending like this. Her husband Brandon sat across from her with cold eyes, no trace of the man she once loved. "Sign them," he said flatly. "Brandon, please. Can't we talk about this?" Her voice cracked. "There's nothing to talk about. I want you out of my life." He pushed the pen toward her. Keisha's heart broke into pieces. She had moved to America from Nigeria on a spouse visa, leaving everything behind for this man. Now he was throwing her away like trash. Her hands trembled as she picked up the pen. "You know what happens when I sign this, right?" she whispered. Brandon's lips curved into a cruel smile. "That's your problem, not mine." She signed the papers with tears streaming down her face. In that moment, Keisha realized she had married a monster. Without his sponsorship, she would be deported back to Nigeria within months. Her American dream was crumbling. Brandon wasted no time. The very next day, he contacted immigration authorities. Keisha overheard him on the phone, her blood running cold. "Yes, we're divorced. The marriage is over. She needs to leave the country." His voice was filled with satisfaction. This wasn't just about ending their marriage. Brandon wanted to hurt her, to make her suffer. Keisha confronted him. "Why are you doing this? I gave you everything." "You were convenient," he shrugged. "But now I found someone better. Someone American." The truth hit her like a punch. There was another woman. Brandon had been cheating on her, and now he was discarding her to make room for his mistress. "You're evil," Keisha said, her voice steady despite her pain. "Call me what you want. You'll be gone soon anyway." He laughed and walked away. Keisha felt completely alone in a foreign country. She had no family here, few friends, and now no legal right to stay. The deportation notice would come soon. 3 weeks later, the official letter arrived. Keisha had 60 days to leave the United States. She sat in her tiny apartment, the one she had rented after leaving Brandon's house, and felt hopeless. Her savings were almost gone. She had been working as a nursing assistant, but lost her job when her work permit expired. Every door was closing. Keisha called her mother in Lagos. "Mama, I'm coming home." "What happened, my daughter?" Her mother's worried voice made her cry harder. "Brandon divorced me. I have to leave America." "That wicked man. Don't worry, we will manage. Just come home safely." But Keisha didn't want to go back as a failure. She had promised herself she would make it in America. She had dreams of becoming a registered nurse, of building a good life. Now everything was falling apart. She had 45 days left. 45 days to find a miracle. Keisha spent her days searching for any legal way to stay. She consulted immigration lawyers, but they all said the same thing. Without a sponsor or a new visa, she had no choice. "You could try for asylum," one lawyer suggested. "Based on what? I have no valid claim." The lawyer shrugged. "Then I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do." Keisha left the office feeling defeated. She walked through the busy streets of Los Angeles, watching people rush past her. Everyone seemed to have somewhere to belong except her. She stopped at a small Korean restaurant, hungry and tired. The smell of food reminded her she hadn't eaten all day. With her last $20, she ordered bibimbap. The restaurant was quiet, just a few customers. Keisha ate slowly, savoring each bite. She didn't know when she would eat well again. Her mind wandered to what awaited her in Nigeria. No job, no prospects, just shame. As she finished eating, loud voices erupted from the back of the restaurant. 3 men burst through the kitchen door, shouting in Korean. They looked angry and dangerous. The restaurant owner, an elderly woman, screamed and backed away. Keisha's instincts told her to run, but her body froze. One of the men grabbed the cash register while another threatened the owner with a knife. Other customers fled through the front door. Keisha should have followed them, but something made her stay. Maybe it was because she had nothing left to lose. "Please, take the money and go," the owner begged in broken English. The man with the knife laughed cruelly. "We want more than money, old woman. Where's your son? He's not here. Please. Suddenly, the back door crashed open. A tall Korean man walked in with calm confidence despite the chaos. He wore an expensive black suit and had sharp, handsome features. His presence changed the entire atmosphere. The three robbers turned toward him, their faces showing fear. Mr. Yoon, one of them stammered. The man they called Mr. Yoon surveyed the scene with cold eyes. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but carried complete authority. You're robbing Mrs. Park's restaurant. We didn't know it was under your protection, the leader of the robbers said quickly. Now you know. Leave. The three men practically ran out of the restaurant. Just like that, the danger passed. The elderly owner bowed deeply to Mr. Yoon, speaking rapidly in Korean with tears of gratitude. Keisha watched the scene, fascinated and frightened. This man had power that went beyond normal authority. The way those criminals feared him told her everything. He was connected to something dark, something dangerous. Mr. Yoon's eyes suddenly landed on her. Keisha felt pinned by his gaze. You didn't run, he observed in perfect English. I don't know why, she admitted. He walked closer, studying her face. You're not Korean. I'm Nigerian. I mean, African American now. Well, not for long. She was rambling nervously. Interesting. A small smile touched his lips. What's your name? Keisha Williams. Mr. Yoon introduced himself as Tae-won Yoon. He insisted on buying Keisha another meal as thanks for not panicking during the incident. She found herself agreeing, though warning bells rang in her head. They sat at a corner table. Tae-won ordered in Korean, and soon food covered their table. You seem troubled, he said, watching her carefully. Keisha laughed bitterly. Is it that obvious? I've learned to read people. It keeps me alive. She shouldn't trust him. She knew that. But something about his directness made her feel safe in a strange way. Before she knew it, she was telling him everything. About Brandon, the divorce, the deportation, her shattered dreams. Tae-won listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. How long do you have? He asked. 42 days now. He nodded slowly, as if making a decision. I can help you. Keisha's heart jumped. How? Marry me. She choked on her water. What? We just met. It would be a business arrangement. You need to stay in the country. I need. He paused. Let's say I need certain legitimacy. Keisha stared at Tae-won like he had grown two heads. You want to marry me? A complete stranger. Marriage is a contract. We both have something the other needs. His tone was matter-of-fact. But I don't even know you. You know I have resources. You know I can solve your problem. He leaned back in his chair. What else do you need to know? Everything. Who are you really? Why would you do this? Tae-won considered his words carefully. I run certain businesses in Los Angeles. Some legal, some less so. Having an American wife would help my operations appear more legitimate. It's mutually beneficial. You're in the Mafia, Keisha said bluntly. He didn't deny it. I prefer to think of it as alternative business ventures. Keisha's mind raced. This was insane. She couldn't marry a criminal just to stay in America. Could she? But what were her options? Go back to Nigeria in shame, or take a crazy chance with a dangerous stranger? I need time to think, she said. You have 42 days, Tae-won reminded her gently. But I need an answer within 1 week. Keisha barely slept that night. Her mind kept replaying Tae-won's offer. It was crazy, reckless, possibly illegal if immigration found out the marriage was fake. But was it really fake if they actually got married? She researched Tae-won online and found very little. A few mentions of Yoon Enterprises, a company dealing in imports and exports. Nothing about criminal activities, but that proved nothing. Her friend Aliyah called. Girl, you sound stressed. What's going on? Keisha almost told her everything but stopped. This was too dangerous to share. Just deportation stuff. I'm handling it. I wish I could help. You know, if I had the money for a lawyer. I know, Aliyah. Thanks. After hanging up, Keisha made a list of pros and cons. Pros: she could stay in America, continue her nursing dreams, escape the shame of failure. Cons: marriage to a stranger, involvement with criminal elements, possible jail time if caught. The cons should have outweighed the pros. But desperation made people do desperate things. Keisha thought about her mother's disappointed face if she came home with nothing. She picked up her phone and called the number Tae-won had given her. They met at a coffee shop 3 days later. Keisha had prepared a list of questions and demands. If she was doing this insane thing, she needed protection. I want separate bedrooms, she started firmly. Tae-won nodded. Agreed. I want to continue my education. I'm going back to school to become a registered nurse. I'll pay for it. This is a business arrangement. No. Expectations of intimacy. Of course. His face showed no emotion. And if either of us wants out after I get my green card, we divorce. No drama, no revenge. Tae-won considered this. 3 years minimum. That's what immigration requires to remove conditions on residency. After that, if you want to leave, you're free to go. Keisha took a deep breath. Okay. But I need to know something. Will I be in danger because of your business? I'll protect you, Tae-won said simply. You'll be my wife. That means you're untouchable. Something in his voice made her believe him. Against all logic, Keisha extended her hand. We have a deal. Tae-won shook it, his grip firm and warm. We'll marry next week. The wedding was small and quick at the courthouse. Keisha wore a simple white dress she bought from a discount store. Tae-won wore another expensive suit. 2 of his associates served as witnesses. The judge pronounced them husband and wife. Tae-won kissed her cheek briefly, formally. It felt surreal. 24 hours ago, Keisha had been facing deportation. Now she was married to a Korean mobster. Mrs. Yoon, Tae-won said, testing out her new name. It sounded strange to her ears. I think I'll keep Williams professionally. As you wish. He drove her to his house, a beautiful mansion in the hills overlooking Los Angeles. Keisha's jaw dropped when she saw it. You live here. We live here now, he corrected. A housekeeper named Mrs. Kim showed Keisha to her room. It was huge, with its own bathroom and balcony. Everything was decorated in elegant, minimalist style. This is too much, Keisha whispered. You're my wife, Tae-won said from the doorway. You deserve comfort. Despite everything, Keisha felt a flutter in her chest. She pushed it down. This was business, nothing more. Living with Tae-won was stranger than Keisha expected. He left early each morning and often returned late. When he was home, he was polite but distant. They ate dinner together when possible, making awkward small talk. 2 weeks into their arrangement, Keisha was settling into a routine. She spent her mornings exploring the mansion, her afternoons researching nursing programs, and her evenings reading in the library. It was a lonely existence, but peaceful. She was beginning to feel safe. That sense of security shattered on a Tuesday evening. Keisha was in the kitchen with Mrs. Kim, learning to make kim kai. The housekeeper had warmed to her over the past days, teaching her Korean phrases and sharing stories about Tae-won as a boy. They were laughing about something when the lights suddenly went out. Power outage? Keisha asked, her heart already beginning to race. Mrs. Kim's face went pale in the dim evening light filtering through the windows. No. Mr. Yoon has backup generators. They should have kicked in immediately. Before Keisha could respond, the sound of breaking glass erupted from somewhere in the front of the house. Mrs. Kim grabbed her arm, her grip surprisingly strong for an elderly woman. Come. Now. There's a panic room. They ran through the darkened hallway, Mrs. Kim pulling Keisha along. Behind them, Keisha heard heavy footsteps, male voices speaking in rapid Korean. Her nursing training kicked in, and she noticed her pulse hammering, her breathing becoming shallow. She forced herself to stay calm. Mrs. Kim fumbled with a bookshelf in the library, pressing a hidden mechanism. A section of the wall swung open, revealing a small, reinforced room with monitors and a phone. "Get inside," Mrs. Kim hissed. But before Keisha could move, 3 men burst into the library. They wore black masks and carried weapons. One of them grabbed Mrs. Kim roughly, throwing her against the wall. She cried out in pain. "No!" Keisha screamed, moving toward the housekeeper. The tallest of the intruders grabbed Keisha's arm, yanking her back. He said something in Korean, his voice muffled by the mask but clearly menacing. "I don't understand," Keisha shouted, struggling against his grip. Another man stepped forward, this one speaking English with a heavy accent. "You're Yoon's new wife. American wife. Very convenient for us. What do you want?" "Your husband has something that belongs to our organization. We're here to negotiate its return." Keisha's mind raced. This was exactly what she had feared when she agreed to marry Tae-won. She was a pawn in a dangerous game she didn't understand. The man holding her twisted her arm painfully behind her back. Keisha gasped, tears springing to her eyes. Her nursing instinct catalogued the injury, not broken, but the pressure on her shoulder joint was excruciating. "You're going to call your husband," the English speaker said, holding up Keisha's phone. "You're going to tell him to come home immediately. Alone. No security, no weapons. Just him. And if I refuse?" The man holding her increased the pressure on her arm. Keisha screamed, unable to hold it back. Mrs. Kim was crying, still crumpled against the wall where she'd been thrown. "You won't refuse," the English speaker said calmly. "Because if you do, we'll start with the old woman. Then we'll move on to you. By the time your husband gets here, there won't be much left to save." Keisha's hands shook as they handed her the phone. She knew what they were asking her to do was a trap for Tae-won. But she also knew these men would follow through on their threats. As she unlocked her phone, she heard sounds from elsewhere in the mansion. More breaking glass, furniture being overturned, systematic destruction. These weren't just thugs. They were professionals, and they were making a statement. "Wait," she said, stalling. "How do I know you won't kill us anyway?" The English speaker laughed. "You don't. But you definitely know what happens if you don't cooperate. Make the call." Keisha's finger hovered over Tae-won's contact. She thought about the conversation they'd had over coffee, his promise to protect her. She thought about Mrs. Kim, who had been nothing but kind. And she thought about the life she'd built in just 2 weeks, fragile as it was. She pressed dial. Tae-won answered on the first ring. "Keisha, I'm in a meeting, is something?" "Tae-won." Her voice cracked. "There are men in the house. They want you to come home, they said." The phone was ripped from her hand. The English speaker took over. "Mr. Yoon. As you can hear, we have your wife. We also have your housekeeper. You have 30 minutes to get here. Come alone, or we start sending you pieces." Keisha heard Tae-won's voice through the phone, speaking rapid-fire Korean. His tone was deadly calm, which somehow made it more frightening. The English speaker responded in Korean, then ended the call. "Take them to the dining room," he ordered his men. "And search the rest of the house. Make sure we're alone." Keisha and Mrs. Kim were dragged through the mansion. In the dining room, they were forced into chairs. One of the men produced zip ties, binding their wrists to the armrests. The plastic cut into Keisha's skin. "You're making a mistake," Keisha said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Whatever you think you'll gain from this." "Shut up." The English speaker backhanded her across the face. Pain exploded through her cheek, and she tasted blood. Mrs. Kim started praying in Korean, her voice a soft, desperate murmur. The minutes crawled by. The intruders searched the mansion methodically, reporting back in Korean. Keisha caught fragments. They were looking for something specific. Documents, maybe, or money. Whatever Tae-won supposedly had that belonged to them. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Keisha's mind raced through possibilities. Would Tae-won actually come alone? Or would he bring backup and risk their lives? What was the right move here? She tested her bonds subtly, but they were expertly tied. Her shoulder throbbed where the man had twisted it. Mrs. Kim's face was pale, her breathing shallow. Keisha worried the elderly woman might go into shock. "Mrs. Kim," she whispered in Korean, using one of the phrases she'd learned. "Be strong." The housekeeper's eyes met hers, filled with fear but also something else. Determination. At minute 28, headlights flashed through the windows. A car approached the mansion, its engine purring softly. The intruders took positions around the room. Two stood behind Keisha and Mrs. Kim, weapons raised. The English speaker moved to the doorway, ready to meet Tae-won. The front door opened. Footsteps echoed through the hallway. Then Tae-won appeared in the doorway of the dining room. He looked exactly as he had that morning, composed, well-dressed, calm. But Keisha could see the fury burning in his eyes. He took in the scene, his wife and housekeeper bound to chairs, the armed men, the destruction visible in the hallway behind him. "I'm here," Tae-won said quietly. "Let them go." The English speaker laughed. "First, we have a conversation. Sit." "I'll stand." "Sit, or I put a bullet in your wife's leg." Tae-won's jaw tightened, but he sat in the chair across from Keisha. His eyes found hers, and she saw something in them, a message, maybe. "Stay calm. Trust me." "Now," the English speaker said. "The shipment you intercepted last week. Where is it?" "What shipment?" The man nodded to one of his associates, who struck Mrs. Kim across the face. The elderly woman cried out, blood trickling from her lip. "Stop!" Keisha shouted. "He said he doesn't know." "He knows." The English speaker leaned closer to Tae-won. "We know your people took it from the port. We know it's somewhere in the city. Tell us where, and this ends peacefully." Tae-won's expression didn't change. "If I knew what you were talking about, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Your organization has been trying to move into my territory for months. This is just another provocation. Last chance, Yoon. I can't give you what I don't have." The English speaker raised his gun, pointing it at Keisha's head. She felt the cold metal press against her temple and closed her eyes, her heart nearly stopping. "Wait," Tae-won said, his voice strained for the first time. "Wait. I need to make a call. My people will know where it is." "No calls. Tell us now." "I legitimately don't know the location. I have multiple warehouses. My lieutenant handles." A sound interrupted him. A soft beep, then another. The intruders looked around, confused. Keisha saw Tae-won's expression change subtly, satisfaction. The beeping grew louder. "What is that?" the English speaker demanded. "That," Tae-won said, a cold smile crossing his face, "is your mistake. You said come alone." "I did. But you didn't say anything about the mansion's security system." The beeping stopped. Then chaos erupted. Windows shattered as smoke canisters crashed through. Gas filled the room, thick and choking. Keisha couldn't see, couldn't breathe. She heard shouting, gunfire, bodies hitting the floor. Someone cut her zip ties. Strong hands lifted her from the chair. She was being carried, still unable to see through the smoke. She felt fresh air, then she was on grass, coughing violently. When her vision cleared, she saw Tae-won kneeling beside her, his face tense with concern. Behind him, men in tactical gear were dragging the intruders out of the mansion in handcuffs. Mrs. Kim was nearby, being tended to by a paramedic. "Are you hurt?" Tae-won asked, his hands checking her for injuries. "My shoulder," Keisha gasped. "And they hit me, but I'm okay." "Mrs. Kim." "She'll be fine. Bruised, scared, but fine." His thumb gently touched her split lip where she'd been struck. His eyes were murderous. "I'm sorry. This should never have happened." "You said you'd protect me," Keisha said, her voice shaking as the adrenaline began to wear off. "I trusted you. And I failed you. Those men will pay for this, Keisha. I promise you that." She saw the darkness in his eyes, the promise of violence. Part of her was horrified. But another part, the part that had just faced death, was grateful. Tae-won helped Keisha up. She was shaking uncontrollably. They couldn't stay at the mansion. Tae-won took Keisha to a safe house in the desert, a small compound guarded by his most trusted men. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I should have protected you better." "This isn't your fault," Keisha insisted, though she was still terrified. They spent 3 days in the safe house while Tae-won's people handled the situation in LA. During that time, they talked about everything. Their pasts, their fears, their hopes. "My father was a powerful man in Seoul," Tae-won explained. "He built an empire, both legal and illegal. I inherited his obligations along with his wealth. Can't you just leave? Start over somewhere?" "It's not that simple. There are too many connections, too many people depending on me. And honestly, I've done things I can't undo." Keisha understood. She had her own regrets, her own complicated past. "When I was 20, I made choices to survive," she told him. "I'm not proud of everything I've done either." They were two broken people who had found each other. Maybe that's what made their love real. Tae-won received word that the attack was ordered by a rival organization trying to move into his territory. He had 2 choices, negotiate or fight. "I'm done negotiating," he told his lieutenants. "They brought my wife into this. That's unforgivable." Keisha watched him plan their response. This was a side of Tae-won she hadn't fully seen before. He was strategic, ruthless when needed, commanding. His men followed him without question. "I want to help," she said. "Absolutely not. You're staying here where it's safe." "I'm not some helpless person who needs protecting. I can contribute." They argued, but eventually Tae-won agreed to let her help with planning. Her nursing background gave her insights into medical vulnerabilities. Her fresh perspective identified weaknesses in the rivals' operations. "You're brilliant," Tae-won said, impressed. "I'm resourceful. There's a difference." Within a week, Tae-won's organization had neutralized the threat. The rivals backed off, choosing to avoid further conflict. Peace returned, but Keisha knew it was temporary. This was the life she had chosen. With the immediate danger past, they returned to the mansion. Workers had repaired all the damage. It looked like nothing had happened. But everything had changed for Keisha and Tae-won. They were truly married now, in every sense. She moved into his bedroom. They were partners, not just in business but in life. "I want to meet your family," Keisha said one morning. Tae-won tensed. "My father is difficult." "I don't care. I'm your wife. I should meet them." He arranged a video call with his parents in Seoul. His father was stern and intimidating, his mother warm but reserved. They spoke in Korean mostly, which Keisha was beginning to understand. "She's African," his father said in English, clearly disapproving. "She's my wife," Tae-won replied firmly. "She's smart, strong, and I love her. That's all that matters." His mother smiled slightly. "Welcome to our family, Keisha." It wasn't perfect acceptance, but it was a start. Keisha also introduced Tae-won to her mother via video call. Her mother was shocked but ultimately happy to see Keisha thriving. Just when life seemed stable, Brandon struck back. He contacted immigration with evidence that Keisha and Tae-won's marriage was fraudulent. He claimed he had proof they married only for her green card. Immigration reopened their case. They faced new interviews, investigations. If Brandon's claims were proven true, Keisha would be deported and possibly banned from the US forever. Tae-won could face charges for immigration fraud. "That vindictive snake," Keisha fumed. "He won't let me be happy." "We'll fight this," Tae-won promised. "Our marriage is real now. We have nothing to hide." But it was complicated. Their marriage had started as an arrangement. The early timeline could raise suspicions. They needed evidence that their relationship had become genuine. Their lawyer suggested gathering proof, photos together, joint bank accounts, testimonies from friends and family, records of shared activities. "We have all that," Keisha said. "We've been building a real life together." Still, the investigation was stressful. Immigration officers came to their home, interviewed their friends, scrutinized every detail. During the hearing, Brandon testified against them. He claimed Keisha had told him she planned to marry someone for papers. He produced text messages from before their divorce. Keisha's heart sank. Those messages were real, from when she was desperate and scared. But they were taken out of context. Those texts were from a dark time, she explained to the judge. I was venting to Brandon, not making actual plans. I met Tae-won by complete chance. The immigration judge looked skeptical. Then Tae-won spoke up. Your Honor, I'll be completely honest. Our marriage started as a business arrangement. I needed legitimacy, she needed to stay in the country. But something unexpected happened. We fell in love. The courtroom went silent. Keisha held her breath. We didn't plan it, Tae-won continued. But it's the most real thing in my life. I would marry her 1,000 times, green card or not. She's my partner, my best friend, the person I want to spend my life with. Tears streamed down Keisha's face. The judge studied them carefully. The judge took 2 weeks to make a decision. Those were the longest weeks of Keisha's life. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Everything she had built was hanging in the balance. Tae-won was equally anxious but tried to hide it. Whatever happens, we face it together, he assured her. Finally, they were called back to court. The judge looked stern as they entered. Brandon sat in the back, smirking. Keisha wanted to scream at him. I've reviewed all the evidence, the judge began. This case is unusual. The marriage clearly started under questionable circumstances. Keisha's heart dropped. However, the judge continued, I've also seen overwhelming evidence of a genuine relationship that developed over time. The testimonies from friends, family, and even employees paint a picture of 2 people who genuinely care for each other. Hope flickered in Keisha's chest. Furthermore, Mr. Brandon Williams appears to be motivated by revenge rather than justice. His testimony contains inconsistencies and exaggerations. Brandon's smirk faded. Therefore, I'm ruling in favor of the respondents. Mrs. Yoon's green card will be approved. This case is closed. Keisha collapsed in relief. Tae-won caught her, holding her tight. They had won. After the hearing, Keisha confronted Brandon outside the courthouse. Why couldn't you just let me go? She demanded. Because you don't deserve happiness, he spat. You're nothing. Tae-won stepped forward, but Keisha stopped him. This was her fight. You're wrong, Brandon. I am something. I'm a survivor. I'm strong. I'm loved. And I'm going to be a registered nurse in 2 years. She held up her hand, showing her wedding ring. I'm Mrs. Yoon now. You have no power over me anymore. Brandon's face twisted with rage, but he had nothing left to say. He walked away defeated. Keisha turned to Tae-won. Let's go home. 6 months later, Keisha started nursing school. Tae-won was gradually transitioning his businesses to more legitimate operations. It was slow work, but he was committed to building a cleaner legacy. They traveled to Nigeria together so Tae-won could meet Keisha's family in person. Her mother loved him despite the cultural differences. To Seoul, where his parents were slowly accepting their relationship. Life wasn't perfect. They still faced challenges, still had difficult days. But they faced them together. On their first real anniversary, Tae-won surprised Keisha with a vow renewal ceremony. This time it was big and beautiful, with all their friends and family present. I want to marry you properly, he explained. No courthouse, no business arrangement. Just us, choosing each other. The ceremony was held in a garden overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Keisha wore a stunning white gown. Tae-won looked handsome in a traditional Korean suit. When they exchanged vows, there were no lies, no pretense. Just 2 people who had found love in the most unexpected way. I promise to protect you, support your dreams, and love you every day, Tae-won said. I promise to stand by your side, believe in you, and build a beautiful life together, Keisha replied. As they kissed, their guests cheered. Mrs. Park from the restaurant cried happy tears. Even Tae-won's stern father smiled. Keisha thought about her journey. From a broken marriage to deportation fears to finding true love with a Korean mobster. It was crazy, unlikely, and absolutely perfect. She had come to America chasing a dream. She lost that dream but found something better. She found herself. She found strength. She found love. And isn't that what life is really about? Taking chances, surviving storms, and finding your person in the chaos. Keisha Williams Yoon had found hers. And she was never letting go. Morals. Never give up, even when everything seems lost. Keisha faced deportation and betrayal, but she kept fighting for her future. When one door closes, another opens if you stay strong. Love can come from the most unexpected places. True love doesn't always follow a perfect plan. Sometimes the right person appears when and where you least expect them. Stand up for yourself. Keisha learned to confront Brandon and take control of her own story. Don't let anyone make you feel worthless. Honesty is the foundation of real love. Tae-won and Keisha's relationship became real when they stopped pretending and shared their true feelings. People can change for the better. Tae-won began transforming his life and business because love inspired him to be better. Your past doesn't define your future. Both characters had difficult pasts, but they chose to build something beautiful together despite their mistakes. Trust your instincts. When Keisha met Tae-won, something told her to trust him. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Revenge only hurts the person seeking it. Brandon's attempts to destroy Keisha only made him more miserable while she found happiness. Real strength comes from surviving hard times. Keisha discovered her own power through her struggles, making her stronger than she ever knew. Love means choosing each other every day. Marriage isn't just a piece of paper. It's a daily decision to support, protect, and cherish your partner.